Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, hello and welcome to the waning days of 2024. It is December 30th. It is Monday. It is new model day. And as you can tell by the jaunty music and the splash page, we are working on the Interceptor from the series UFO. Now, a lot of people think the series UFO has a lot in common with Space 1999, and it's kind of obvious that it does. I happen to think it has a lot more in common with Thunderbirds, only because you have the whole aspect of the air, sea, and land references or factions or arms of the operation, with the added benefit of having the space interceptors at the same time. But a lot of time was spent on the land rams and the skydiver bit. The thing that to me that was very Thunderbirds, and the whole little chute that the guys had to fly down to get into their ships. That reminded me a whole lot more of Thunderbirds than it does 1999, despite the obvious comparisons. But today we're going to be starting on the Interceptor. I don't know if we'll finish this week or not. I'm going to take my time on it. There's a lot to do. Not going to light it. Going to make it as a static model. Not that I couldn't light it. There's certainly opportunities, but it's one of those things where you're gilding the lily. The filming models weren't lit, so I'm not going to light this. About the most operational I'm going to make this is that I am going to make the missile removable. And if you ever wanted to have a textbook example of the world's most impractical design, it would be this. It would be the Interceptor. We're going to send you up with one nuke, pal. It's like we're going to send you up to fight the alien menace, and we're going to give you one missile. Now there were little guns along the top. Don't get me wrong, but it really was the definition of shooting your load, because this was it. Once it went out, you might as well return to base. You had nothing left to offer to the dogfight. But let's get onto the table and look at the parts, and we'll see where it goes from here. That's a better color balance, I think. Here are the parts. And now the first thing you'll notice about these parts is that they are big. This is, just to do some bookkeeping, this is the Alan Rivard kit. Or Alan Rivard, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your first name. This was a Christmas present sent by Sprueverse, sent to my door, and the kindly little elves over at Sprueverse printed this. I don't know if Phil printed it himself or whether he sent it to an outside source to be printed, but it is printed in this wonderful white resin. This is not the same white resin that maybe Keith would use or that the Helios kit was made out of. It's a different white resin. We've got a vacuum formed canopy to go inside the canopy frame, so that's going to be fun to work on. Very clean. It's just a few parts. The fit on it is very good. I've been playing around with that, cleaning up the parts a little bit. There are opportunities to do a little bit of reinforcing with some brass rod, like in some of these joints, and of course these joints here will need to be fabricated either out of brass or styrene. I don't know whether I'm going to do the two piston version or just a simple rod. Haven't figured that out yet. Parts do not really need to be washed as such. Now I did go through with the sanding block and knock down some of the nubs from the printing supports. Got rid of a lot of them. It's so nice out today. It's like I said, the 30th of December. It's upper 60s, low 70s today. So it's a perfect day to take this out and get some primer coat on it. So that's what prompted me to go ahead and do this kit. Start on this kit now, because I want to lay out all of the parts and prime my little heart out on them. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, I've just spent the last little bit priming stuff with black stuff. This is stuff that was already primed. I primed everything with gray, and then I went over the stuff that, or the parts that are going to be silver ultimately, and I'm just coating them with a gloss black right now so that the silver will show up nicely. That's on these external bits. This is the engine detail piece, and I'm going to be doing some dry brushing on that to get the detail to come out. This is just the cockpit, and I know the cockpit isn't black, just the same as I know the pilot isn't black, but I am doing the just some pre-shading on this, and then when I start laying the color in on top of that, that means the shadows will already be there. So that's what that black is for, and this is for the bit that goes up in the front that the missile attaches to. That needs to be almost a chrome silver, so we are undercoating that with black so the silver will really pop. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's Tuesday. It's the last working... Well, it's not the last working day of the week, but it is the last working day of the year. That's true. It is New Year's Eve on 2024, and we are barreling into 2025 by working on the... We're going to do the landing gear today, amongst other things. We're going to start with the landing gear. Now, I've spent the early part of today just cutting some aluminum tubing to go into the support areas here. This is not something that is provided in the kit, which is great because I'm always been a proponent of you don't need to print everything. There are plenty of things in life that you can make do with actual materials. You don't have to print them. So amongst that are usually styrene tubes, cylinders, things like that. If you can still find brass rod to the right diameter, you're wasting your time printing it, plus it's not going to be as strong. So what I've done today is I've taken apart the landing gear parts. Now they are built with a hole in there for you to put pins in it. And this is going to strengthen the landing gear and everything else because this is holding up a bit of weight. And so what I'm doing is I've cut pins for the centers, and I've cut pistons. Now, I've seen versions of this where there's an actual fat, like a shock absorber type of piston in there. But the way this kit is designed, it's designed to have something that is the same circumference top and bottom. Same circumference top and bottom. So if I put a fat piston there, it wouldn't look right, to tell you the truth, because the top and the bottom holes are the same. So that's why we're doing that. Now, before we get down to gluing everything, I need to make sure that once I put these in, they are straight and not twisted like this. So I think what I'd like to do is maybe set the bottoms. Well, that's going to work just fine, I think. As long as I set them straight and eyeball them. So maybe what I want is a slow-acting epoxy and not CA. If I use the slow-acting epoxy, I can jiggle it into the right place before it sets up permanently. And yes, I have checked my wings right and left to make sure that they are in the right orientation, that I've got the right wings. They are mostly symmetrical, except for this little bit where you can see this little flared taper. That should go towards the back. It helps because it lines up these panels. I will show you what I did. Oh, yesterday I got not only primer on everything, but on the body I actually got the first couple of coats of the Insignia white. So I've not joined... Well, let me go get you the parts and I'll show you where we're at. Now, along with all of those black, or the silver pieces that I have put a black top coat on, I've also gone through and was able to put... See, I'm just doing a little bit of sanding touch-up. Put a coat of the Insignia white on it. And I can see now where it's scratched off. So I'm just doing a little bit of light sanding. and then I can recoat this. But there will be areas of this that will be masked off and have silver. Certainly this piece is that dark green, and then there will be bits of silver and bits of other color. But having a good base coat of the Signia white is a great place to start. But getting back to what I was saying about the flare of the wings, see, if you get them on wrong, you'll see that this panel down the center doesn't match. That's how you can tell it's the wrong one. These here don't line up, but if I turn it around and put it on this one, then I know this is the correct wing because these panels line up. So that's how you can tell. And so that tells me that little flare needs to go to the back. So I'm going to set these wings up to dry. I want to get the epoxy in them, let them dry, and then while all that's going on, I can be dry brushing the engine and the cockpit. So let me take these pieces back off of the table and pull out everything I need to use the epoxy on the landing gear. Alrighty, the legs have been epoxied and they are setting up. They could stand to be pushed down here. There's a little bit of warp going on there, but it's happening on both of them, so at least it's consistent. But making sure that the wings are symmetrical by touching them to each other and making sure that they have the same angle, that they're meeting in the center, and then we just have the front skid there. So those are setting up. That's 15-minute epoxy. That shouldn't take, actually that's 5-minute epoxy. That shouldn't take forever. So sorry, I don't mean to whip the camera around there. So now I can go into my dry brush painting on the engine, the visible engine bits, and the cockpit and the pilot here. Okay, I'm doing research on the cockpit, and I've come to the startling conclusion that whatever it may look like on the show has no resemblance to what it looks like in the model kit, other than the fact that it has a chair. This is the view looking out of the pilot's position towards the outside, and you can see the window, the canopy is split in the middle there. Let me see if I can put this back into motion. I saw a back shot. Let me see if we can back this up just a little bit. Let me see, here we go. And okay, that's what the pilot is seated look like. Now we've got a pilot we can put a helmet on and paint blue. Other than that, this looks nothing like that. So I'm not going to feel bad about painting mine however I want to paint it, because as I said, it bears no resemblance to what it looked like in this scene. Even the blue suit has a definite ribbing to it that the sculpt does not have. So that just alleviated my guilt in making it look like anything like the at least the cockpit set. Not knowing what the filming model cockpit looked like, I can only go by trying to make it look like the cockpit set. Okay, because now I'm in a quandary. It's one of these things that once you see how badly off the cockpit parts are and how relatively simple it would be to make a new one, to fix it, or to make it look a little bit better. Now I'm in the thing of should I, because I really wasn't expecting this kit to take, all that much time to do. But to properly do that, redo the cockpit, would probably add a few days, if not another week, onto everything. So I'm kind of in that mindset where the outside is going so easily and going so well that maybe I should try, at least before I do anything destructive to the cockpit piece that comes with the kit, that I should try to mock up something and see how easy it would be to fix it. Okay, we're coming up on an area of more compromise here. This is photos taken from the prop store. This looks like one of the filming models. We can see some differences, notably in the landing gear area, where this is just more like a compression spring here, and the landing gear or support strut goes to a joint here and then dives right back into the center. That's not how this part has been designed. So we're gonna make an adaptation. My concern was that I had the panel lines here lining up. As you'll see, these panel lines line up, but that puts this panel to the front, whereas a lot of examples I see have it towards the back, which I don't, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, because you could easily just scribe a line here and make that work. The reason I was looking this up was the leading edge of this wing should be silver. Right through there, you can see it right there. The leading edge is silver. This is more prop gallery. Let's get out of this. Again, scroll. Scroll. Let's get out of that. David Sisson, who's done a fine job with his models. I don't know whether he is a professional. Let's see. This is somebody. Sorry, David, if I don't have permission to use your images, I'm sorry, but I'm looking at the fine work that you've done, and he has that leading edge there silver, as I think it should be, and it looks like he's got the same model that we've got, somewhat. His landing gear is still a little bit different. Obviously, you can tell by how thin his skis are that it's a different model. Looks very much like a different model. And if I were to show you what the front gear look like, you would see it's very similar to what he's got. But he has that gear, or that wing, lined up. See, here's the one you're seeing in the picture. He's got this lined up in such a way that if you put it on that way like I do, he's got this panel line in the back. I tried them both ways. I think it fits better on this way. I think that's a better fit. If I have to paint that part silver, I will, just to make it fit. But I think at this point it's like the old saying goes, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Well, welcome back. It's Wednesday. Not only that, it is New Year's Day, and like the poet said, all is quiet. Look at this mess. I'm back at that point where I always find myself in these builds where I am trying to do a little of everything and I'm concentrating on nothing. So I need to narrow my focus, as it were. Yesterday I spent most of the day, working on the new back wall for the cockpit, and last night I put a primer coat on it just to unify all the colors, and I like it a lot more than the stock kit. It's got this thing going on here, which is a tribute to the actual set. I mean, this is obviously just a bunch of greeblies stuck on there, but I think it's much better in tone than this is. So what I've got to do today or this week, obviously I want to see as much of this as I can get done this week, but I think the first goal is going to be to I have to recreate a chair. I have to recreate a chair and get my pilot situated in that chair with the yoke in front of him. I've got the new floor built that the slot's in there, and then the new wall goes up behind it. The new back of the cockpit wall fits in behind it, so it looks something like that. And right now I'm happy with the pilot that we've got. I got no beef with the pilot, but he does need a lot more controls around him. So I think that one of the things I need to concentrate on is adding some greeblies to the inside of the cockpit. I could put some stuff up here along the ceiling. I could put some consoles in front. As long as I don't interfere with the canopy, I'm in good shape. So I think what I want to do is start cutting this apart and cannibalizing what I can get out of that. What's interfering with all of that is the rest of this stuff, and I need to get this stuff off of my desk and out of the way. And you're going to see stuff like this. Now this is all the stuff you see that is black is going to be made silver at some point. I'm just using that as a nice undercoat. And if I can get that much of it done, maybe get the wings on, I can set this whole thing aside while I'm working on the rest. Now the only thing that's stopping me from doing that is this engine piece, which needs to be sanded down. I need to take some off the bottom. I need to take some off of that top edge so that it will slot back in here where it needs to. And then once that happens, I can take all of this rear half of the ship and kind of move it to the side. I can build most, if not all of it, and then join it up to the front. So that's kind of where my head is at this morning. And I've got, again, this is what you see as black is going to be sprayed silver. I'm going to go ahead and I think put the wings and the landing gear on this back piece. But this is just some stuff down here that was left over from the scratch building of the interior. I'm not quite sure that I'm done with all this yet, because like I said, I want to add some more stuff to the front. So I just need to decide which is my priority right now and move everything else off. Okay, the first thing I had to do was take a little bit off the bottom of this piece, and now it slides all the way back like it's supposed to. Just a little bit off of that plane right there. And now we can slide it in. I think I want to do maybe a little bit of, well, you know, it's not worth it. It's not worth it because there's going to be other things that will happen. So what I need to do is go ahead and glue that in place and then worry about touching up the paint colors or adding any paint colors to it after that. I could spend a whole lot of time detailing this only to find out that the parts aren't going to end up showing anyway. So what's the sense of that? I am going to take, I think Phil did a wonderful job when he added detail to this bit here, but I'm going to wait till it's set in place and then maybe add some hosage and pipage to it to give it a little bit more oomph. There's just a couple places here that are begging to have something attached to them. So let's go ahead and get some epoxy whipped up and put that in place, and then we can start worrying about masking this off to paint the silver there. Okay, I've just been having the best time spraying silver, and this is the New World's paint. It is mirrored steel is the color. I gotta tell you, I haven't used a metallic that has gone on this nicely and shined up this brightly in quite a while. It's quite the thing to see. Now this is this New World's paint, which is the type of paint that goes on kind of runny, It's like mission models in that respect. It goes on kind of runny, and then it hardens up after it's been on for a while. So I can't wait to see what this is going to look like after it has had a chance to really cure. But look at that. Now, a problem that metallics will do, if you've got a 3D printed part and you've got any layer line showing or any build line showing, there's nothing that's going to show that off more than a metallic finish. So in some of these parts, it's really going to show the deficit, or the it's going to show the weakness in the part, the fact that it's 3D printed, because it's going to accentuate all of those build lines. You can only hope that the part has been printed at a pretty high resolution, and that the orientation is not going to stick out like a sore thumb when those build lines come to shine. But look at this. This is probably my favorite piece of all of them. That's the missile launcher that goes on the front of the nose. That looks like the best results I've ever gotten with an Alclad. This makes that pale by comparison. That's just a beautiful finish. Look at these skis. I'm going to have to dirty those down and put some moon dust on them, that kind of stuff, to make it look more realistic. But when you look at something like that and you can see the shine in it, this makes me want to go back and repaint my ET mothership. But I ain't gonna. But it makes me want to do that. That's how good this chrome is. And it's not really chrome. It's, like I say, it's a polished steel. It's not giving me the bright white highlights that chrome does, but it's a very, very nice metallic. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's Thursday. It is the gateway to the weekend. Although I have to tell you, since we're in that weird limbo week, the week between, well, we're post New Year's. But it's a weird week because New Year's Day fell on the middle of the week, and it's just throwing everybody off. So it's a weird week. Why not embrace the weird and just ride it out? So Thursday, gateway to the weekend. Let's continue work on the Interceptor. Now, I was supposed to spend a lot of yesterday working on the cockpit. I was supposed to. This is the painted up version of the wall that I made. But I tell you, I got so enamored with how that metallic look was, the metallic paint was working yesterday, that I just went nuts with that. I went the entire hog with painting everything that was going to be that color with the metallic, much to my detriment, because I ended up painting too much, and I realized I needed to scale it back some. And most notably on the runners here, there's no reason for this bit to be practically chrome. So I went back with the gray paint and I repainted those gray today. Just not only is that going to introduce another color, but it's also going to make the chrome bits stand out even more when not everything is chrome. I've got these guys attached to the side of the back half of the hull, and I noticed that when I did that, I slopped a little bit of epoxy out of the gap. So I cleaned up those joints a bit, and now I'm just repainting. I repainted the black this morning. I'll repaint the silver today and get that ready. What I want to do is get as much done on the back half, get the skids put on, get the landing gear put on, and then we're going to save everything up. We're going to work towards the front today. We're going to get the cockpit done. I've already started working on the pilot. Get the cockpit done, and then we can join that to the front. The front's got a lot of good stuff on it. Let me go show you. Let me grab that, and I'll be right back. Here is the front half, and don't look at that. That's going to be red. But I'm very happy with how that turned out. That metallic on there looks like the bee's knees to me. So I'm going to be painting this panel today. But what I want to do is get everything joined up, or get the cockpit in, maybe even get the canopy down, and then get that all taped off before I join the front and the back halves together. That may not be the best way to do it, but it's the way I'm going to choose to do it. So The missile's probably the most done, with the exception of painting the red. I think I'm going to wait until the whole ship is together to paint the red all at one time. So maybe that'll happen tomorrow. Hopefully it'll happen tomorrow. I don't think we need to stretch this into more than 1 week. It's going to depend, because there's a whole level of decaling that has to be done here. So we'll see how quickly that goes. But today's goal, once I get these guys off my table, today's goal is to finish this cockpit and get it ready to install in there. So the first thing I want to do is recreate a chair. I've got the floor here. I've got a floor and I've got a back wall. I just need to recreate the chair and the control yoke. Alrighty, I'm working on the Interceptor pilot's chair, and as a basic building block, I'm using something I've used many times before. This comes from my cheap-ass scavenger brain. Back when I was still working for the state, there was a time when they switched out all of their phones. You know how they sometimes you'll go through the, you know, there'll be an infrastructure change, and they'll change out all their phones. Well, when they did that, they got rid of a ton of buttons. Or what were the buttons? And you can see them here. It says line 3, line 5, whatever. This was on all the little switchboard things on all the phones. Well, they got rid of those, and I said, well, there was a huge bag of them. And I said, I'll take those. They were just going to trash them. Well, what would you use those for, Lou? And I said, well, I would use those for everything. And I have. I've used them for a bunch of stuff over the years. Probably the most obvious use of them was as a brick road. Back when I did an Iron Man diorama of Igor, I believe, the big blue metallic suit. There was cause to do a brick road, a cobblestone road. And basically, I just took a bunch of these and laid them up as bricks and then painted them. And it worked very well. It gave me a nice bit of atmosphere for that. But I still have half that bag left. So I just needed some basic stuff to cobble a chair together with. And I wanted to make sure that he was sitting at the right height for him. Now, I noticed that in the chair this is the chair from the actual kit. It's a lot more elaborate than the set piece. The set piece, the actual set of the chair, is not much wider than the human person that's the pilot, the actor that sits in it. It's a real dinky chair, and it's got a little headrest, which this does not. This doesn't have a separate headrest, and it's a little more grand than the actual chair was. So making something simple that will fit, and it will sit something like this. And I have to allow room for this back wall to sit like that. And he's going to sit in front of the back wall like that. And then there's going to be a console in front of him. Now, I've hollowed out on the console where his toes need to go. And I might end up cutting the front of his toes off just to cinch that up just a little bit quick, a little bit tighter. But I'm thinking that that's going to work just like that with this backdrop behind it. Now, if all of this will fit underneath the canopy as given, then we will be in good shape. I need to make sure that that is sitting there. His chair is up against the wall, and then all I need to do now is make the yoke come out and meet where his hands are. And that's just going to take a piece of greebly there, and then the two handles that'll also be made of greebly. But that's pretty much the base now, or the cockpit. I might grab one of these guys off of here and put it next to him on the ground. There were switches and boxes on the ceiling above him that would go. I don't have the front of the cockpit here with me, but I might attach them to the upper inside walls there to add some more greebly and interest there. But that's the basics of it right there. I think the next thing to do is to fabricate a headrest piece. and then we'll be ready to finish painting him. But do the headrest piece, and then see if there's any percentage in trying to do something decorative to the sides of the chair. Like I'm wondering if I could cut these off just to see if they would go. Yeah, it might be interesting to see. Since this is going to be sacrificial anyway, it's too cold outside. I really don't want to set up my bandsaw to cut those apart. So I might just try to see if I could sand that away, sand the bottom of that off to where I can get to these pieces. It's time to see if the rubber will meet the road in a meaningful way here. I've got the replacement floor in. I've got the replacement back wall in. It's up against the scribe line that I put on the back side to make sure that it's in straight. The question is, when I put the chair in and put the pilot in the chair and put the yoke in front of the pilot, is the canopy going to fit? I'm not worried about the side boxes on either side of the chair because those are irrelevant to my question right now. It's how far forward can I move this yoke and the pilot, and then let's see if the canopy will fit, because the canopy is not your typical over bubble. It actually dips in. Normally you might see a canopy where it's a bubble that way. It actually dips down, so it's gonna be an issue getting that thing to fit and stay nice. But yeah, we've got plenty of room, so good. That gives me confidence to know that I can take all of this back out. I'm gonna mark on the floor how far forward I can go with that yoke and still get everything to fit. This canopy is going to be it's going to be fun, I can tell you that, getting that to fit. So if we mark on the floor, now I know where I know where the yoke can go, and then everything can kind of line up off of that. So we'll pull all of that out, and here is our floor piece. And our floor piece has markings for the yoke right there. So I could glue that down if I wanted to, but I'm not sure I'm ready to do that yet. So we put the yoke, we put the dude in the chair up against the yoke. And then I can put these little side boxes that I scavenged from the main wall, main back wall, or the main throne, and I can put those on either side. That gives me room for this back wall. Yeah, and I can make sure we have room for everything. Great. Okay, I'm happy with this chair now. I'm going to let the glue dry on it a little bit, do some sanding on it, and then we'll get a coat of primer on it. If I'm remembering correctly, the cushions were not too different from this right here. It was an off green, olive green type of colored cushion, and silver highlights. So I think we're good. We're ready to go here, and we can slide him up to the console, and then the only thing to do left would be to fabricate the yoke, which is something that until everything is glued in place, I don't really know. You know, I probably could do something with wire. That way it would bend and take up the slack, and I wouldn't be as bad as trying to do something with a stiff material that I would have to sand or trim. Let me see what I've got. If I just had a piece of black wire that looked like a handle, that was thick enough at the top to look like a handle, and then I could attach it to the yoke there, I think we might have a winner. Okay, with the last bit of alteration in place, which is nothing that nobody who has ever done a cockpit before will understand, will think is weird. I had to do a little bit of surgery on his feet to get him to fit, but he does. And now we're ready to put a nice base coat on this of the primer gray and get it ready for detail painting. Okay, I think the next steps are going to be to put the wings slash landing gear struts on. And this is something that I think I'm going to be better off doing both of them at the same time, only because I can then pose it. If I use a slow enough epoxy on it, I can pose them and get everything balanced at the right time, because if I do one and it ends up being wrong, then I'm stuck with it. But if I do both of them at the same time, I can kind of square them off of each other. And here's where you can see that panel line lining up is important to me. Even though I think it may mean that I put these wings on backwards, I think they look better this way. So what I want to do is mix up a little bit of the 5-minute epoxy, set it into a, there's not really a clamping situation that I can use here, I don't think. So if I do something like this and then just hold it, that may be the best way to do it. And then of course putting the front piece on while this is curing, I can be finishing up the cockpit. Believe it or not, I think I'm finally ready to glue these wings in. This little bit of industry here is a jig that I've cooked up to make sure that my skis are parallel and square and plumb and all that kind of good nonsense. And I've temporarily put the front end on just to check to make sure that it was going to let the front ski be level with the rest of it. So now that I know that works, I can pull this much off, pull that much of it off, and what I can do now is put in some of the epoxy. Again, the 5-minute epoxy will allow me to do the positioning that I want to do. And I can pull this off of here. Like I said, I can pull this off of here, put a little bit of epoxy on the wings just in here and here and here and here, and then I'll do a lot of the reinforcing from the inside. But that will allow me to, again, you can see maybe better here now that the body is gone, that I've got square lines drawn, level lines, I've got intersections here, and I've got this guy's clamped down so that they are parallel to each other. And now it's a question of when I put the body onto it, the skis, at least the wings, will be parallel to each other. Okay, one last bit of leveling. If this piece of plastic or this piece of substrate is level, like that bubble says it is, then we need to move this up to here and hold it so that it is level. And I'm resting it on these 2 points here. But that tells me that the rest of the ship is square, and if I put this up top here, and it looks like it's a little bit off on the back, so let's just put just the tiniest bit of weight like that so that it levels, so that bubble is nice and level now. So this will tell me that everything is level left to right. Whether it is level front to back is a different issue, but it is level left to right. And I know that these are square and true to each other. So we're going to let this set up while the epoxy sets. Okay, so we're closing up for today. Got quite a bit done on the pilot's chair and the control yoke. This is the same back wall from yesterday. Got a lot done over here. I've got no reason to take this out of the braces. It's not hurting anybody right now. The front part is still not glued on, but it is sitting there so that I have a nice level weighted thing to look at. And yeah, we're in a good spot to, well, here's the front gear again. We're in a good spot to continue this tomorrow. I don't believe we will finish by any stretch, but we can certainly get to where maybe we've got the front and back glued together or epoxied together. Maybe even get the red stripe on. That would be fun. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? I am frustrated because I am trying to get this canopy to work, and it's the single toughest thing on this build so far has been this canopy. It's more like a can of worms more than a canopy. It's just, I think maybe the vacuform is too thick. I think a thinner sheet of vacuform might have worked better. It's getting the canopy in place and then getting the frame to fit over top of it and settle down, I think is the issue. I thought that maybe I had trimmed it down too far, but now I'm thinking I need to trim it down even further because it wasn't, I was thinking maybe I could put the canopy in first and then put the frame over top of it. That was a pipe dream because that just did not work. What we have to do to make this fit on here is to sand it so much, and then there's just not enough meat left to glue to the frame. So I'm thinking that I tried using a piece of just flat styrene sheet PETG, but it wouldn't conform to the two dimensions. I could get it to do this, but I couldn't get it to do that at the same time, and that's the reason why you vacuform something, is to get a compound curve on something. So now I'm thinking what I might need to do is to cut this down the center. This is the clear part in case you can't see it. Cut it down the center and just glue it into the frame, and then try to glue the whole frame on, even though there's not a lot of meat there. There's just not. I need to take some of the thickness out of this center and sand it down a little bit. I think it's too wide to begin with. Imagine that you were trying to fly something and you've got a big post sticking down the middle of your windshield, and you can't see out either side of it without constantly moving your head to the left or the right to see where it is the heck you're going. And getting that, see, the other school of thought is to make it fit the ship and then sand around it to put a frame in there, or to put the glass in, because it's not exactly following the contours as precisely as one would hope. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today. I've got this cockpit ready to slide in there at some point. He's ready to go. The back wall's ready to go. I just need to add his hands going to the yoke. I need to glue him down. I was trying to figure out, do I need to put the cockpit in without the guy in the chair and then glue the guy in the chair in, or do I need to slide this all in at one piece? And I think I need to slide it all in as one piece, which means I can go ahead and glue him down to the seat, and then that will make it a lot easier to put the yoke in. So let me go ahead. I can do that while I'm at it. There's one last thing I need to do on him, and that is to put the visor on. I can do that as a piece. I don't have to worry about whether he's glued in or not to do that. So let's go ahead, take care of him. It's when I get stuck on things like this that I turn around and look for something that I can accomplish and get done, and it kind of takes my mind off the stuff that is frustrating me. So let me look. The glue spots need to be where his feet are and just on the back of his shoulders. So let me glue the back of his shoulders. Well, see, this is what happened. I left my glue out and it scabbed over again. Let's glue the bottom of his feet and the back of his shoulder. And that's really all where he touches in the There we go. I mean, he does sit, but right now that's about where he needs to be. And now I can touch any of the paint that needs touch up, like this little back on the back of his helmet there. Yeah, okay. See, I can accomplish that, and I feel better. So now, let's see about cutting this. And I'm hesitant to cut it because it's the only one I've got. And it's kind of, if you screw this up, you are begging for trouble. So I think what I want to do is sand a little bit off of the inside of this, and see if I'm ready to steel up my nerve to cut that canopy. Okay, well, splitting the canopy in two does seem to be the solution. Does seem to be a good idea, because now I can fit them in there without it fighting the other dimensions. I can make them fit independently. So all I need to do at this point is to put a wee bit of glue in there and glue that into each side of the frame, and then the frame is still thin enough to contort to fit on top of the ship. Now the exact which glue I'm going to use is still up for debate. I could use epoxy. I could use epoxy, probably the easiest one to clean off, although it's the messiest one to start. But this PETG I have tested. It is not affected by CA. It is not affected by, it doesn't haze up or anything like styrene does. So a CA might be the better solution, particularly since I need to kind of hold it in shape and then just touch the glue to it. So I'm going to sand down this other side now to get it to fit inside the canopy. And then I might have to put on the inside, I might have to put like a piece of sheet stock over the center post on the inside just to hide the ugly seam. It's going to depend on how visible that seam is going to be from the outside. But I think what I can do is go ahead and mark this. What I've been doing is marking it with an X-Acto blade and then sanding down to that scribed line. And that seems to be better than trying to mark it with a Sharpie or anything, because those can be inaccurate. Okay, so we'll see how the second half goes. Well, it took a while, I'll tell you, and it was a little bit of a touch and go there, but I've got the pieces of the canopy epoxy, not epoxied actually. What I ended up doing was using the UV glue, because it allowed me to kind of jockey it into position, and then I could put a bead of the UV glue down, kind of push the piece of plastic or the clear piece of PETG around, get it right into position, and then hit it with the flashlight of UV light. And it gives me plus it's a little bit easier to clean up. It gave me a better chance at getting things set than CA did, because CA it goes off real quick, and if you don't have it right on the first try, you don't get a second try sometimes. And traditional epoxies, two-part epoxies, they take a while to set up, honestly. And if I had, was able to set this in clamps and could sit there and hold it, then maybe that would have been a better solution. But as far as something that was fairly immediate and also fairly quick, or immediate in setting, but pliable in the setup, then it came down to using the UV glue, the Solarez, as a better solution. Now I can touch the paint up here. I'm not particularly worried about the paint on the canopy frame here. Trying to find my little sanding sponge to get rid of that mark. The problem I have with the canopies is that it's vacuform, and if there's any defects or bubbles in the vacuum form, well, they were going to be there no matter how I ended up attaching this. So yeah, there's a couple of little boogers there that are present in the vacuum form, but I can't get rid of them anyway. Would never have been able to get rid of them no matter how they were stuck to the frame, I guess is what I was trying to say. But I can peel off some of this messy UV glue without too much damage to the rest of the canopy. And it's also, since I cut that canopy into 2 parts, does make that canopy frame a little bit more pliable. So now I can stick it down there without too much fighting me here. It does still need to have some sanding done. The good news is I can get rid of this strip now because I don't need it. This was a strip I was using to hold the canopy in from the inside. I don't need that anymore, so I can take that out, which means I can touch up that beige paint in there and get back to work on fitting the rest of the stuff back into the canopy. Alrighty, see, I've got the canopy nice and clean now. I'm trying to keep my fingerprints off of it. What's left is really like I was saying, what's down to defects in the vacuum form. There's a big bubble or a big zit right there that is in the it's tough to see. It's in the plastic. I can't really get rid of it. But now we're ready to attach that. And we're going to have to sand probably that frame to get it to fit once it's on there. Trying to keep all of my fingerprints to the outside because I can clean those off. But once it's glued down, I won't be able to clean the inside. So we're going to move this off stage right now, so that I can concentrate on getting the rest of the cockpit in. Okay, you may notice the desk is clean, and that's never a good sign. Well, it is and it isn't, because usually when something isn't working, that's when I resort to cleaning everything, just getting everything that is not germane to what I'm working on out of my face. And that's kind of where we've been. So now I'm hoping that I can focus on exactly what it is in front of me that I need to be working on, and that will help me get through the immediate hump, so they say. But I need to run the little shop vac over this table too to get up a bunch of dried glue and such. But the good news in all of that is I do feel like I've got a crisper set of marching orders now. And what I need to do immediately is to finish the pilot, and that means getting the yoke in his hands. Now that I've got him glued down and he's not moving anymore, that is one variable that is taken out of the equation. So now I can put this U-shaped yoke that I've been hanging on to, I can put that on the center stock and glue it to the bottom of his wrists. And then what I will do at the top of his wrists is I will put 2 bits of sprue or something that look like handles. That's what I will be putting in there. And then I can start building this cockpit. Now that I've got the canopy kind of sorted, I've got some more panels inside here sorted. I've done about as much of the adding to the cockpit that I'm going to do. So I'm getting ready. I really want to glue him in, but to do that, the one last thing that I need to do is to handle the handles. So let me take care of that, and then hopefully we can start flying through the rest of this, because next step would be gluing this in, gluing the back wall of the cockpit in place, making sure that I'm happy with all the painted details in there, and then really gluing the front and back of the ship together. That's really the last big thing. Because I need to put a big clamp on that to hold those two pieces together. And then we'll see how much more we can get done today. Hey, I think I'm finally ready. Well, let me check this back wall, but I think I'm finally ready with this. Now, I just spent the last half hour or so putting that visor on here. And that's just a little piece of a theatrical gel that is the right color. But it's one of these things. Are you ever going to see it once it's in place? Maybe, maybe not. But I know it's there, and that's the important thing. So now I think we're finally ready to attach this guy into the base floor here. And then while that's setting up, I'm going to go over this back wall, see if there's any last bit of color that I need to add to it before we slide it in place back behind everything else. The day I never thought would get here. The the cockpit is epoxied in. It's a capoxy. It's a cockpit epoxy, but you can see it's all glued in, and the back wall has been reinforced. And it's a great time to take a little bit of a lunch break and come back to this in a heartbeat. But right now, we're going to let all this glue set up. Okay, now we're getting down to the fun stuff. I've had to take a quick trip and run an errand, so I am back, which was good because it let the epoxy cure while I was gone, and I couldn't be, interfering with it. So what's happening now is I'm going to take care of some muddy handprints that have dirtied up and sullied my nice clean hull here. But the last big thing I want to do today is get the front and back halves of the Interceptor put together, and that all that's going to take is another mix-up of some epoxy and a big clamp. And I've got this big bar clamp that I'm going to use to kind of hold everything together. And then we'll see. There might be time to put the forward skid on this afternoon before we finish up. But I think that'll be a great place to finish. So let me get something to mix epoxy on. Okay, so I'm back. I've got a piece of balsa wood that I can mix up a batch of epoxy on. And I just need enough to go around this edge. And not too much more than that. So we'll mix some up. And, I need to get the camera out of the way. So I will be right back. Okay, that went surprisingly easy. We've got a long bar clamp underneath. You can see the front end of it there and the back end of it there, and it's holding this seam nice and tight. And I'm just toying with it a little bit. I'll clean the epoxy overflow off of that after it has cured, but we're going to let that sit. It is 2:30 now. I've got another couple of hours left in the day, so I'm going to let this sit for an hour before I come back to it. And then I'm going to add the front landing gear, which I cannot do now because that's where the bar clamp is sitting. And I'm going to start doing a little bit of cleanup. But I see already where I had this ski clamped down that there is an issue there. So yeah, look at that. That's a very clean seam right there. Very clean. I'm very happy with the quality of these printed parts fitting together. And but like you say, you can see why I can't put the front landing gear in yet. We will let this sit. And I probably don't want to have the extra weight of the clamp sitting on these skis. So I think I might just stand it up like this while it is curing. And then we'll come back to it in a bit. The clamp is off, and everything is held together and all hunky-dory. We have enough time left today that I'm going to go ahead and finish the major construction, which is putting this on the front, putting this on the back, and putting this underneath. I'm debating about putting this on the top because it is kind of delicate, and I can put it on really at any point. It doesn't have to go on now. If I put it on later, then I can do all the detailing on this as a unit and then just simply slot it in. It doesn't have to go on right now. So I think we're going to hold off on that, only because of the fragileness of it. So let's get another little bit of epoxy whipped up, and we will get these last remaining bits on. Okay, now this isn't glued on. I just wanted to put it on there for show so that you could see what the whole thing looks like when it's all slotted together. Where did that piece of schmutz come from? Get off of there. Get off of there, you schmutz. But yeah, that's an impressive bit of modeling by the time you get everything put together. That's a beautiful size. Now, as to where it's going to go, that's anybody's guess, but that's a beautiful sized kit. Well, that's going to do it for the first week on the Interceptor. Still have the Band-Aid, or the rubber band holding the back piece on just for right now to let that cure for a bit. Then we'll take it off. But outside of cleaning up some seams and then doing all the decaling and the red stripe, haven't quite figured out whether I'm going to paint the red stripe or do decals on it. I think I'm going to paint it. But other than that, we're almost done with this kit. Finish it up next week for certain. But I have the paper in front of me, as I'm sure everybody's been waiting on bated breath for the count of how many kits I got done in 2024. And the grand figure for that is 22. 22 kits in 2024, which is staggering when you consider that I spent 13 weeks on the Helios D by itself. And that only counts as one, to quote The Lord of the Rings. That's still only one. It was 13 weeks, but it was still only one. I'll go through the list really quickly just so that you can make sure that I've got everything. Now, this is not including the Agora Optimus Prime kit that I kind of worked on off stage. I think I finished that up in March. And it doesn't count that, doesn't count the ET, none of those. But this is just the kits. Now we started with Granny's Jalopy, and these are kits that, let me see, Granny's Jalopy I started in 2024. It wasn't something that I finished or started last year. So we start with Granny's Jalopy, the Beverly Hillbillies kit. Visitor Skyfighter from Cosmic Scale Models. The Randy Cooper Sandcrawler, that was 4 weeks right there on the Sandcrawler. The first concept shuttlecraft, the small one, the one that Jeff and I kind of hashed out the details on, the Jeffries concept shuttle, the first one of those. The moon suit. The next one was another 5-week project, and that was Maria with the Rotwang and the lights and the extra table with the regeneration table and the seated Maria with the lit rings and all that I took to Wonderfest. That was next up, and that was 5 weeks. There was an interrogation droid that I did from, and that was from 3D Fig Labs, I believe. The Sandland tank, which was that anime project. The bigger concept shuttlecraft, the 72nd. Actually, I think it's bigger than 72nd scale. It's the big one. It's the one that they use. It's the one that Keith uses on his box art for his shuttlecraft. That's the one. The Leaky Louie, that was that gag gift of a kit that I did, and I did that just leading up to Wonderfest because I needed something that I could finish real quickly. So that weirdo's Leaky Louie was there. And then when I came back from Wonderfest, I did the Plutonium Crew, the heavy metal group, the 2001 Space Station. That was 3 weeks. That was the next big project, trying to figure out how to light that and do the window masks for it and have it turn and do all of that. 2001 Metaluna Mutant, that was the figure kit that was from Model Works, from Dave. The Rhedosaurus, and that was simply to do the lighthouse masks for that. Now somewhere in there I have Bruce off to the side, and that was the big Spruverse Challenge reveal. Bruce that I had been working on. I guess I started working on that when I came back from Wonderfest. Yeah, because that was the experiment in pouring resin, and I don't believe I did that until after I got back from Wonderfest. So yeah, Bruce was in there. The Ed 209, that articulated kit, which is one of the better ones I've built this year. An Icarus that I built as a commission kit. The Dalek Phil, that was a lot of fun, taking the files from Jeff Fink and lighting that up and having some fun with it. And then we started in the big Helios Enterprise D, 13 weeks of that, and we're still living to tell the tale. So we had the Enterprise D, and then after that was the Henson Tribute, and then 2 weeks on the Cerritos, and that brings us to right where we are right now. 2 weeks on the Cerritos, a week and a half on the Interceptor. But that is that's the tally from 2024. 22 kits, my friends, and that was with me slowing down because, you know, like I said, running out of space, so don't have room for everybody. But we're looking forward to doing more fun builds in 2025. I got some really good kits on the in the stash on the offsides, getting their chance to play. A few more Cerritos this year, I'm sure. We've got the Strange New Worlds Enterprise coming up. That be another chance to do my favorite thing, which is to build enterprises. And we'll see what the rest of the year brings. Like I said, I've got quite a few things in stash. I've got the figure kits yet. I've got the Admiral Ball. I've got Slutty Sandy. I've got the Beetlejuice bust that I brought back from Telford. All of those are ready to go. They're ready to be built. And I've got a couple of, I won't say they're anime kits, but they are Bandai-ish kits that I have not built yet. They're I don't know whether they're Gundam or not. I saw them at the hobby shop. I like the design of them. Have no idea whether they're heroes or villains, but I would build those anyway because they look like fun. But that's it. That's it for 2024 and beginning into 2025. So I hope you've enjoyed my content. I know I don't ask people to like or subscribe. You know, do what's in your own heart. I'm enjoying the fact that I've been able to make these videos for the last year. I look forward to doing it again in 2025. I hope you have a safe, prosperous, and above all, fun year ahead. So we'll see you here next week. Until then, be good to each other, be safe, be smart, you know, the usual, and have a happy 2025.